up, how way, ay, 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 ay. How way up, how way up, ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. How way, ay, 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 ay. How way, ay, 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 ay.
Welcome to the bridge. I'm your host, Kira Young, and you've reached me on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We are simulcasting today with Real Liberty Media and also with People's Internet Radio. So welcome everybody, and thank you to all the listeners who have tuned in today. We have a show with a little bit of a wolf theme to it. Our second guest is rescuing wolves and I think wolf dogs as well. Her name is Aslan White. But before we get to her in the second hour, we are going to talk to somebody who's living in Flint, Michigan at Camp Promise, which is in Kelsey Park, I believe, and it's a camp of water protectors, so to address the Flint issue with water. So we're going to get him on the phone here. His name is Angelo. Let me see if I can add him to the call.
Hello?
Hi, Angelo. It's Kira. Welcome to the bridge.
Hey, Kira. How you doing?
I'm good. So you're there in Michigan now?
Yeah, I'm in Michigan at Camp Promise in Flint.
All right. So how did you get from hanging out with LaDonna at Sacred Stone to this new camp?
Well, you know, I took a break from all the things happening in North Dakota, and I went down to California for about 3 weeks, and just taking time to recuperate. And then I saw, you know, the arrest happen at the city hall here in Flint, and I knew I had to get out here. I knew media coverage needed to be done, so I decided, you know, I booked a flight that day for the next day, and I got out here right away.
I see. Okay. So when you were deciding to go out there and you talk about the arrest, can you get a little bit deeper into that for the listeners who don't know about these arrests that you're referring to?
Okay. So there was a meeting at their city hall here in Flint, Michigan, and the Camp Promise had already started. It was a small camp at the very beginning. It's only been around about 3 weeks, and the people who were staying in the camp, and you know, a lot of them are locals, went to the city hall meeting, and you know, I guess it turned into some heated words because, you know, the people are passionate about what's going on here in Flint. It was the water crisis, and 6 of them were arrested. 6 of the campers were arrested, and they were locals, and that, you know, pushed me to get out here. And they were arrested on the grounds of, I believe it was, you know, they said something about causing an uproar, but they were just, you know, raising their voices at the city hall meeting. And I think that's what turned out to having 6 of them arrested.
So what were they charged with, these 6 water protectors?
You know, I haven't gotten down to that yet, but I think, do you mind if I go and ask one of them?
Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Find out the charges.
When the folks got arrested at City Hall, what were they charged with?
Nothing. Nobody's ever been charged with anything. They were PFI'd on nothing.
They threatened one person. But they let him go.
They threatened Tony to charge him with assault. But they're just trying to hold it over top of him. But nobody's been charged with anything.
Okay. So it looks like they weren't charged with anything. They were just... No one was read their Miranda rights, and they weren't charged with anything. They just let them go after having them held.
Okay, so it was just a way to get rid of people. Just arrest them and then drop the charges, just to get them out of there.
Yeah, I think it was just to get them out of the situation at that moment, you know.
Okay. So who started the camp? The camp.
Ryan LoRee and Aaron Anthony Block, Shannon. I don't know Shannon's last name. Allison. I don't know her last name either, but there's about 4 of them that initially started the camp here in Flint at Kearsley Park.
Together, the 4 of them, or
They had organized it, and then a few of the locals, they asked a few of the locals to come out with them, and they did. So I think there was about, I want to say, 10, an original 10 that started the camp.
Okay. And the location that you're at in Kelsey Park, what is that area like? I mean, pretty like city-like, or?
It's the park is it's set up, it's perfect as a park, but you can just walk up the stairs from where you get into the park, and it's a neighborhood. It's in the center of all these houses, and I mean, it's a beautiful park, but from my understanding from the locals, before the camp was set up, it was a lot of the locals didn't want to come down here due to the strange characters that would show up at the park. And now that the camp is here, we've been told that it feels a lot safer to come to the park now.
So you're getting some good feedback from the locals for the most part, or?
Well, absolutely. They are very supportive. They're very supportive of the camp. A lot of the locals come down here to, even say hi, drop off donations, drop off food, and even have their kids here and playing in the park with a lot of the campers.
Wow. That's different from the locals, in North Dakota. It's somewhat different. There were some good locals.
Oh, yeah,
but,
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, because they're already within the crisis, and it's been 3 years since anything has been done since the water crisis, and I know they're tired of it. So they're happy to have the camp here.
That's way different. And that's what it's been like for a lot of the Pennsylvania camps and other camps where the locals really don't want these pipelines going through their land. We're taking all of the risk for environmental damage, and it's not going to anything but money making for these companies. It's not going to make us energy independent because it's all for export. So that's a big lie right there. But this is a totally different situation. The water is poisoned for very different reasons, but still greed is the core issue here.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably the number one motivating factor as to why nothing's been done.
Yeah. The other thing is, on a larger scale, America's infrastructure is crumbling because we've been at war forever. And we've pretty much never ending been at war. As far as I can remember, I mean, my whole life, I'm 48. I just turned 48. So we've always been at war. And now we're in a situation where a lot of the money on these wars is hidden because it's not going directly through military spending. It's going to contractors. So all of these jobs, that the military used to provide for wartime and military operations are now being provided by contractors at exorbitant rates of money. A lot more than somebody who was enlisted would get paid to do these types of jobs in the past. So you have an extraordinary amount of money that these wars cost, not just because of this contractor situation, but simply because they're everywhere. Like once America goes someplace, they never leave. Once America invades a place for oil.
We've got our hands, as far as military, dipped in almost every other country, and you're shipping out these boys out to God knows where, and it's costing us billions and billions of dollars, American dollars, and half the time a lot of the people don't know where their taxes are going.
Yeah, they think that it's all going to food stamps. But meanwhile,
Yeah.
people really are starving in this country of plenty. And if you look at our job situation in this country, and Flint has really been hurt by this situation. If you look at the numbers, people coming out of college, young folks coming out of college, who are saddled with the debt for having gone to college, don't have any opportunity to do any better than somebody who worked in a factory in the 70s. In their lifetime, they'll never be able to do better than that. But they have this debt from the supposed education that was supposed to further them. So it's a gigantic problem that we're watching America crumble because the oligarchy and the psychopaths in charge, they need that war. They need to feed off.
That's the machine, that's what they need to feed their machine, and that's their war machine.
Mm-hmm. So, since the battle is so much different, what you're fighting there, in terms of there's not this devastating pipeline that's being forced through sacred homelands at gunpoint. This is a situation that has developed over time, and it's at the point of really being ridiculous. Like a lot of our situations on the reservation, it's at the point of why has nobody addressed this? Yeah. Why is this continuing to be like this? And everybody knows it's horrible. And here's the worst part, is that Flint, Michigan is not even an unusual situation. There's a lot of Flint, Michigans out there, and we don't even know about them because there's a lot more.
So as at my time here, I've gotten a lot of information in regards to a lot of places, a lot of cities within the United States that already have lead in their water. And the thing with Flint, and I was actually blown away when I saw the list from a local who's lived here, who's born and raised here. It's not just lead, and it's not just these, organisms that people are people will have their spin on it and what's going on, but it always comes down to lead. You hear about lead poisoning in Flint, Michigan. But this list that I saw, it had almost 12 different toxins and contaminants within their water when they had it tested. I mean, you have lead, copper, fluoride, and, the list is just insane to think that some of these chemicals in their materials that are supposed to be in batteries and in paint are in their water.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these things are just like, you can't even inhale them. And these people have to drink it and bathe in it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what are your, you certainly have some security issues that you're dealing with in this camp that you weren't in Sacred Stone. You're not out in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of a residential area. So what's your approach there? What are what's the security approach there, given that difference?
Here, since the camp is still small, you're not worrying about thousands and thousands of people, different personalities, and you'd hope that everyone comes there for the same agenda. Right now, it's like a camp of 30 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
When the residents do come in and they stay. I think the biggest thing for security right now is just making sure everyone is safe, because we're at a public park. Anyone can stroll in anytime they please, of course,
Mm-hmm.
And Flint, Michigan has its share of rough neighborhoods and, rough characters who are all angry. And, it's not like the reservation where you're like at Standing Rock, where you were isolated from the next city over. I mean, we're like an hour out from Detroit, and other small cities in between. And there has been a crime rate, Detroit and Flint, where, they had a high crime rate about 2 to 3 years ago, and it's not like that thing goes away overnight.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's still, per capita, the murder rate in Flint is unsettling, to say the least.
Yeah, and that's our biggest concern, is just to make sure that everyone who comes within the camp is safe, they feel secure, but we also have to make sure that they are, that they don't have any other agendas. So we do have security protocols in place.
Yeah. So how do you do that? How do you make sure there's not like this other agenda going on for folks that show up?
When I say agenda, you can't. I mean, there's always going to be politics wherever you go, no matter what group of people you're with. When I say agenda, I mean as long as no one comes in here trying to harm any of the people within the camp or anywhere that we're close by. As far as let's say someone walks around and they have a weapon or something. It's really just, we want to make sure that everyone is physically safe.
So other than the arrests that happened, has there been police, any other type of police presence or police brutality or police intimidation of any kind at the camp?
No. And here's the thing with this, and I really cannot stress this enough. A lot of the police in the area who are from Flint are supportive because it's their water too, Right. And I think the only time that we would ever get a rise out of them is when they're ordered to, whatever their orders are, whether it be contain the camp, remove the camp, or when we go out on direct action and we go and protest or speak out during public events. I think that's the only time that we have any type of interaction with the police, because from my understanding, a lot of the police and the firemen are very supportive of the camp. They're happy that we're here. It's, they've had to deal with the water for the last 3 years as well. So they're upset, they're tired.
So the water protectors that are here in this camp, what is their role in terms of, moving this issue forward? And what do you guys plan to do?
Well, we just want to set up a camp where a lot of the locals can come down and, really get more information on what's going on around here. It's a way for us to build as a community and have our voices heard together. I mean, that's why water protectors are coming around from all over the United States, is to lend Flint a hand and give them a voice, because they've been swept under the rug.
So you mentioned the Ryan and Aaron and Allison, and who was the other woman that started? They're locals, right? Shannon.
Yeah, they're locals.
They're all four of them are locals. So they were like, we don't want to see this crisis continue without some attention. So that, were they inspired by Standing Rock, or were they at Standing Rock and then decided to come home and start a camp, or how did that come about?
I think for the most part, for all of these camps that are popping up, we have to say that they were in part, inspired by Standing Rock. And I think it was just, hey, we see that there's a resistance against this pipeline in North Dakota. Why don't we fight for the things that are at home? And these are locals that are just frustrated for having to, their families, their husbands, their wives, their children, their grandparents all live in the area. And it's been going on way too long. And I think I want to say that Standing Rock gave them the boost to say, hey, I'm not gonna sit around. Let's set up a camp where people can come and show support for the area. And, I'm sure they were doing things in response to the water crisis way before. But as far as the camp goes, I think Aaron and Ryan were both at Standing Rock. They both went there for a short. Ryan went there for a short amount of time. Aaron didn't go, but that type of unity and that solidarity inspires a lot.
So when Ryan went to Standing Rock, was he there as part of like the veterans that went in the winter time?
Yeah, he went there as part of the veterans response. When the veterans came out to help us.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember the veterans were also saying we're going to set up a camp in Flint, and I wondered if that was him or if that was some other veterans, or if that was all connected. How that was connected. I wondered about that.
I'm not exactly sure if that was, the group that did start the camp, but Ryan is a veteran, and he is one of the founders of the camp. And
okay.
And from my understanding, I know that Veterans Response is actually going to be coming out here and helping out too.
Okay, so it could be different veteran groups, because there's quite a few of them that were connected.
Oh, yeah. This country's got a lot of veterans, and they are also tired of all the things happening in our country. So they're going out to all these camps and standing with the people. This is their home too.
It looks like that Ryan's also, is he running for an office, like public office? Is he a politician as well? Right.
I haven't asked him about that. I'm not too sure on that.
Okay. Because I thought I saw something coming across my feed about a House of Representatives or some sort of grassroots connection that he had.
Okay, well, if he is, it hasn't been brought up to the camp. It's all about Camp Promise when we're in the camp. We keep our focus on what we're out to do here.
Mm-hmm. And at Standing Rock, there's a real heavy focus on indigenous-led, on this being an indigenous-led movement, and it was really centered in prayer and song and really Lakota religion. Is there any type of religious aspect or element to the way the water protectors are coming together at the camp? Do you guys...
Well, here's the difference between Flint and North Dakota is that North Dakota was founded. That movement was founded on the reservation. Here in Flint, this camp is made up a lot of just the locals who have lived here, and the population is you're either Caucasian or African American, and anyone that's come here from other areas, you're welcome to. It's whatever you practice. There's not one type of religion here, and everyone says their prayers, and you can still feel that spirit amongst the campers. But as far as a set religion, there is no set religion. We all mix in. It's a melting pot of that.
Okay, so there's like a real mix and diversity of people there at that camp. But is there some sort of central ritual that you all do together, or do you all sort of individually do your own thing?
Well, we do pray at our Promise Fire, and one person will have their prayer, and then another person will have their prayer, and everyone has their say at that circle.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, and everyone is, very receptive to the other cultures that are within that circle. It's, everyone is open-minded.
That's a good thing. That sounds really good. Because sometimes these, multicultural or multi-ethnic, multi-religion type of gatherings, sort of they lose that spiritual element to it because they're afraid of mixing like that. And I think that's really important. I really appreciated the way everybody got up and prayed together first thing.
And essentially this is a healing camp because the people of Flint need to heal.
Right.
That's first and foremost, is that you have to remember a lot of these people who live in the area are getting displaced. And this camp is also, we're welcoming them. This is a secure place for them. If you lose your home because you can't pay your water bill and they place a lien on your house, come to Camp Promise in Flint. It's here for them to heal.
Are there services for the people there? For instance, they're displaced from their homes because of this water crisis. Are there any type of services available to them to get them someplace where they can get clean water or relocate people?
Well, as of right now, the best thing that we can do is take care of the people that come in. And we have tents and we have sleeping bags, and it's a place for them to feel secure. However, we could always use more of that because there's 100,000 people in this city, and there is a huge homeless population.
Right. So are you finding that there are homeless people that are coming and joining the camp, or what?
Well, I mean, as far as that, I haven't, if someone is homeless, I haven't, asked that out on a personal level, but I'm sure that, people have their own backstories, and I don't want to dabble too much into their personal lives, whether they want to speak on it or not. But, we do have a lot of the locals. They walk in and they come in and we greet them. They bring their kids and they just hang out with all the water protectors on the ground here.
So are you collecting donations for the camp?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're expecting this camp to grow, and it's going to keep growing. And with the influx of people that come in, I mean, we need help, and that's why we put the call out for it when we say water protectors, come here and get on the ground. And we're asking organizations to help us out because the city of Flint is in crisis, and we're not going to be able, all the help that we can get at this point will be greatly appreciated. And so you could go to the page. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how can people help? Where do they go?
Well, they can go to the Facebook page, Camp Promise of Flint. And that, there's a list there. We got an Amazon list for requested items that'll help with the camp. And also, my organization, Stand With Wolves, we're a 501c3. We're here. We're helping as much as we can. But once again, these are grassroots organizations. We are grassroots organizations. We don't have any backing from any government entities or anything. We're doing this all on our own. A lot of the people that came out here came out of their own pocket. Out of their own pocket. I'm sorry.
On their own dime, and that's the majority of people that show up to events like this do show up on their own dime. But some people do work for non-governmental organizations or the NGOs like Indigenous Environmental Network, other types of non-governmental organizations where they do actually get a paycheck for going and covering these types of events. And then some of them also have PayPal accounts as well. So,
and I think that's mainly what it is. It's come to that point right now since the camp is not that large yet. We don't have that volume. And we don't have any NGOs on the ground that have that kind of backing, For the most part, a lot of us are just going off of what little donations we're getting from our supporters. For instance, for me, I do my live feeds on Facebook, and we have a lot of supporters from Standing Rock and now from Flint who are following these movements, and they'll send out whatever they can to help, and these are people that are doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. So it's not like some huge organization is going to be like, hey, here is X amount of dollars and spend it on this. Right now, we're just getting by with what we've got and what people are helping us with.
So tell me a little more about your organization. Can you tell us the name again?
The organization that I co-founded with my partner, Gabriella Benish-Kalna, is Stand With Wolves, and we're a water protector collective. We initially started that organization in Standing Rock because, as everyone knows, what happened at Standing Rock was a lot of the people on the ground didn't get as much help as they needed, and we wanted to give a name where people could trust it and really provide help to the community who was doing all the work at the camps. What we did was, we're still learning as we go with it. We're not like professionals or anything by any means. Don't get me wrong. And what we agreed on was that we need to help our brothers and sisters on the ground who don't have rides, who don't have money for food, for gas, for lodging, for tickets home. We did a lot of that on the ground. We even did a lot of it for legal fees, because as far as Standing Rock went, Water Protector Legal Collective and all the legal groups out there, they did great on bailing people out. They did a wonderful job on that. But then we also found that a lot of the people who, went to court and were found guilty of the misdemeanors and whatnot, they were charged with fines. And we even helped out with that. But we're a small organization. We're still growing. We own, in the amount of time since Standing Rock, we haven't raised not nearly as much as all these other entities that were there. But I found that we were helping a lot of the people on the ground for the most part.
Right.
And that's the one thing that people have to remember. With all these things going on, with all these issues and these resistance camps, you have to take care of the people who are sacrificing to go there and stand for these issues and what they believe in. If we don't take care of one another, no one else will.
Very, very true. And this is what I saw on the ground, too, at Standing Rock, is that some of the bigger organizations that were taking in the majority of the funding that was coming in by people, the GoFundMe type of funding, I don't know where it was going, maybe structures or something like that, but it was really the smaller organizations that were really coming through with basic needs in a way that the bigger ones weren't. And it really was hard, I think, for a lot of donors in the end to see so much destroyed in terms of...
Yeah, I could understand that heartbreaking with that kind of influx of money, generated. It's hard to find a paper trail. And I get that. There was over 10,000 people at one point. That's a city. That's a city on its own.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult, but I want to say that we did a wonderful job with that amount of people, And I don't know where all the money went, and I don't know where it was spent on. I'm not a part of those organizations. I could only speak for myself, and I speak for the people who were on the ground with me. And maybe this money went to structures and whatnot, but these are also people who gave up, a lot of personal things to be there. And I wanted to make sure that, they at least had a meal or a place to sleep at night or a way to get home or wherever they were trying to go. Because there was a lot of issues there. And I think, there were a lot of issues to tackle and maybe not enough organizations to tackle each and every one of them. So just from my personal experience from being on the ground and living with those people, I understood those hardships. I gave up a lot. I was just like them. I'm no different from them. So that's what I wanted to do, was help my fellow brothers and sisters with the needs that we weren't getting or that they weren't able to provide.
Yeah, so you were helping out with those basic needs, which nobody really thinks about it. Every single thing you had to do in camp, it takes time, especially when they were jamming the signals and you really couldn't even communicate with the outside world. That was especially hard. Everything took a really long time, and it was really hard to sleep because there's planes flying over and helicopters and floodlights and
well, not just that. You've got people with severe asthma, Lyme disease. A lot of those people were sick too, and they just kept trucking on. And even just a warm bed for the night is enough to recuperate your spirit and to physically get you back on track.
In a shower. Yeah, the
Yeah, in a
showers.
shower. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Which is probably one of the greatest things in the world is a shower after like a week.
yeah, and there was a way that the water protectors would get together and all get a room so that they could share the shower. And I remember one of the people that I met there, I was about to get a room because I hadn't slept in 3 days. No, 4 days. And I traveled a very long distance to get there. And she's like, "Can I be number 4?" I was like, "Why number 4?" She goes, "It just gets really gross after that." I'm like,
yeah.
"Well, how
But,
do we just get
no,
some wipes or something?"
That was the reality of it. Sometimes a nice hot shower is what you need to recuperate and rejuvenate your spirit. And so for us is like when I would put a call out for help from the internet, we would get water protectors rooms for like 5, maybe even up to 13 people at one point. I remember we had gotten a room for like, initially it was like 3 water protectors, but it ended up being 13 people in that room.
Yeah.
And because they could sleep in comfort, not having to worry about, the cold or getting a warm shower, or even just the comfort of sleeping on like the ground. It was like carpet, but it's just the small things that count sometimes. And you got to keep the people's spirits alive. So that way they don't feel like, it's easy to be broken. And sometimes it's due to surroundings.
So you can account for the donations that are coming into your sphere, but not other people's.
Yeah, I can't speak for anyone else's organizations. I could personally ask all the people who I've helped to vouch for it, and I would guarantee you they would say the same exact thing that I said. I don't.
Yeah.
And it's just accountability. You got to be held accountable for all the things that come in. Be transparent.
So do you think that Camp Promise is long for this world, or do you think that it's going to morph into something else?
As long as we keep our heads tight, our heads straight, and we're looking forward, and we keep our eye on the prize, which is help the city of Flint. I'm praying that this is going to be going on for months on end, or I'm also praying that it doesn't have to take that long, and that some kind of change will happen so that these people have clean water and a safe environment to live in.
I hope so too.
It's whichever comes first. It's really whichever comes first.
Okay, so you don't think that that there'll be another camp in Flint soon, or is that?
Maybe there will be. I'm hoping there will be. I'm hoping these things pop up everywhere, because it's a way to be heard. It's a way to grow that sense of community again. Because a lot of the people, when you go back and you live your everyday life, most Americans will sit in their homes, watch TV, get up and then go to work. And sometimes your only interaction with your neighbors is either with your coworkers or your direct family members, if that. And when you have these camps, you give people an opportunity to open up and create these bonds. And I think that's what the world is missing. The world is missing that type of interaction where you go into a camp and you don't know anyone, but you feel more at home than you will ever just sitting in your apartment or your house doing essentially nothing by yourself.
Right.
And that's the only way that this world will change, is if we interact with one another, if we create dialogue, and these camps are perfect for that.
I would definitely agree with that, for sure. And it's really about community. We're missing in this modern world community, real true community, where people count on each other, where there's intergenerational bonds and communication, where there's a common purpose and a common sense of loyalty towards each other.
But even if you don't have the same, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off here.
Yeah, that's right.
But what I mean is just like these camps, even if they're people that don't agree with you, it still creates room for dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
The
Right.
world should take this as an example of how we should live. You create dialogue with people that you have issues that you guys don't agree on, but it gives you room to find a solution together.
Exactly right. A solution is the key there, and all of these things that we're lacking in our modern lives, community, intergenerational communication, support, guidance, all of the a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, all of these things that are lacking are also used by people to recruit people into organizations that aren't for good. So the more
Yeah.
organizations that we can find out there that and fund and be a part of that are looking for solutions, working towards a better planet, the better. And I really do think that there is something to this camp life that more than just on an organizational standpoint, that camp life is important. It can also be used to indoctrinate people. So that's why the dialogue is important, and being honest about what's going on.
For me, it's a big thing because we become so dependent as a society on, the comfort of all the things that we have in the city and in our homes. Most people, if you ask them to come outside, not everyone gets to breathe in the beauty of the world that we live in now because they don't take the time to. And then you lose that respect and that drive to keep it clean and protected. And once you go to these camps, you appreciate it more. You appreciate the air you breathe. You appreciate the water you drink. You appreciate the soil you walk on. Because all of that is vital to us surviving.
And the water is life. So
absolutely.
How is the camp at the point of actually being able to set up an area where clean water is provided for anybody who comes up, not just the campers, but people who say, "Hey, I need some clean water." Are you at that point?
I
where
mean,
you could
anyone is welcome to come and grab water here, but here's the thing with Flint. It's very difficult to come about a clean source of water unless it's bottled or someone has a huge filter from their home and their pipes changed. But if people come down here, that's the point of this camp, is to help them with their water crisis. So we don't have all the water in the world, but we will. That they are our first priority. Or I can't speak for everyone because this is just my opinion. My priority is for the people of Flint to have clean water. So if they come to the camp and they say, "Hey, do you guys have clean water?" I know for a fact that this camp will give them water.
Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of really, really great things going on at Standing Rock in terms of people coming in trucks with big things of clean water and people could get their water, things like that. So maybe some sort of call out for somebody who wants to come and provide water for the community, just as a service.
I mean, I ask any company that's not bought out or that's not stealing natural resources and selling it off for their own gain to come out. You know that our water bottles are provided by I don't even remember the name of the company, but as long as it's not something that Nestle owns, I will not support this company. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and be like, "Hey, let's give these people clean water, but let's buy it from the very company that's stealing it from their backyard."
Right. Yeah. Right. Gotcha on that.
And that's why this camp is vital, because we're thinking of solutions and more solutions, and we're brainstorming on how exactly we can do this. There has to be a better way.
And I think that if you keep working on it, you're going to find solutions. It's
That's
a new
it.
camp.
You just have to stay focused.
Yep, it's a new camp, and you have challenges that haven't been faced before by water protectors. So you've taken on a brand new challenge that I wish you the very, very best with. I did want to give you the opportunity to state how people could support you, where they can find you on the interwebs.
What's it called? I'm sorry, give me 1 second.
Okay.
So you can, if you want to help Camp Promise in Flint, you can go to Camp Promise on Facebook, and there's a list for needs as far as food, a good water source, blankets, tents, power sources, Camp Promise. And also you could follow Project Flint, and that's ran by Karina Barefoot Petrie. She's huge. She's been doing a lot of great work here in Flint for a while now. And then
Who's it
also,
run by? Can you say her? What's her name again?
Karina Barefoot Petrie.
Okay.
And she runs Project Flint, the page on Facebook, Project Flint.
Okay.
And then also my organization with Stand With Wolves, we always do what we can for the people on the ground. And you can go to our Facebook page with Stand With Wolves, or we have a PayPal link, paypal.me/withwolves. And, we're transparent about everything that we do. And I'm glad that a lot of the water protectors, even from Standing Rock, who aren't here, still contact us for help. Because, we do our best to help the people who have the same values and goals in mind. And that's protecting the water, protecting the land, making sure that we're fighting greed,
Excellent. Any other, let's see here, we have just a few more minutes, about 7 more minutes. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring up?
I would love to put a call out to anyone, just like Standing Rock. If you were a wood hauler, if you are able to haul in donations or wood, bottles of water, not Nestle, and food, tents, whatever it may be, I encourage you to come out here and experience it for yourself, and also be able to help out the community, because these items that we get, I know we have a donation tent set up where locals can come down, and if it's something that's vital and they need it for their home, we gladly give that, because that's what this whole camp is about. It's for the people of Flint. This is why we're here.
Okay, so do you have a kitchen set up? Well, how do you guys eat?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have a kitchen set up. It's not, the best kitchen in the world, but we make do, and we're fed. We're fed, but we need supplies for the kitchen, because we're expecting the camp to grow. And even then, if you have 30 to 40 people at one time within the camp, that's a lot of bellies to feed.
Mm-hmm.
That the bellies to fill, and you're having we do 3 meals a day, and that's just like 40 times 3. You got to have 120 plates to feed people in a day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So on the Facebook page, the Camp Promise Facebook page, is the kitchen's needs also on there?
Yes, I believe so. And the kitchen needs are on there. We also have an Amazon list for Camp Promise on that webpage.
Okay. And so on Camp Promise, the donations that go to Camp Promise are going through Ryan and Aaron and those guys. But if somebody makes a donation to you, you'll use that for water protectors or for the camp as well.
Oh yeah, I don't have a set goal for when I put these calls out. When I put the call outs on Facebook, it's usually to help out on the ground and specific things within that camp, whichever camp I'm in, or if it's someone in need. I can't say it's just for one certain thing. You know, I can never say that because everyone's needs are different and things always arise. And I'm just one guy representing my organization right now in Camp Promise at Flint, you know. And if people, I'm always thankful for the support that we get, because if you're not transparent and you don't show these people where your heart is, then they're not going to trust you and they're not going to help you. And that's the only way that we'll survive in this world right now, is if we help one another.
Just to go back to the kitchen for a minute, as far as people working in the kitchen and things like that, do you have enough people that are helping out cooking and things like that? Do you have enough of that? Not just supplies, but actual people doing work?
We have about two cooks right now, and I think that's good for the size of the camp. But
yeah,
as it grows, we want more people to come out who have, different skill sets, and they're able to help out in different areas, because we all do our part. You have your woodcutters, you have your medic. We have one medic at the moment, and luckily it's not like it's a vital thing, because, I mean, it's always a vital thing, but at the moment, with the amount of people that we have in camp, it's workable, you know. But we always welcome anyone from the medical field, the healthcare field, because you can never have too many people who know how to save lives. Sure.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like you guys are off to a good start, and I'm hoping that you're successful in your goals of helping out the city of Flint. They've been suffering for a long time, and perhaps once you really get going, you can share your deeper aspects of your story to help maybe some other communities that want to set up similar camps that might not have anything to do with big oil, but actually just clean water is the issue.
Definitely.
Yeah, because we don't want to keep reinventing the wheel. We want to do some after action and share each other's sort of, not just successes, but also say, hey, we need to stay away from doing things like this, because this is what happens when we do it like that. That kind of stuff is so valuable when people get together and start talking.
Everyone.
Right. Hey, Angelo, thank you so much for joining me. Stick around, everybody. We have another hour coming up.
Thank you so much for having me on here. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right, goodbye.